Good evening, and I welcome you to your transformative program, Politics and Beyond. This evening, we are going to have another interactive and insightful conversation. Remember last week, we started with the white paper that came from government regarding the Constitutional Review Commission's reports. We are continuing with it, but this evening, we are going to look at one area that is of so importance. It is very dear to me because I believe that is the foundation when we are looking at development in this country. I'm your host, Emmanuel Jr. We are looking at decentralization, and we want to find out what exactly it is. This is not the first time we are having this conversation. We've had it before, and so this is more of a continuation on it. The other aspect of decentralization has to do with, local governance in broad terms, and whether or not it is having any reflection as far as Ghana's development is concerned. This morning or this afternoon, I was fortunate to attend a dialogue. And one thing I took out of the dialogue was the fact that we shouldn't be looking at Ghana's development. We should rather be looking at municipals and assemblies development. That should be the focus. So we shouldn't say Ghana is not developing. We should rather say our municipals and our assemblies are not developing, because if municipals and assemblies are developing, automatically Ghana is developing. We keep asking ourselves, what exactly is it about municipal and district assemblies? But I have always said that if we're looking at what, again, we are looking out for, it can best be described as the engine for grassroots development. And so if you don't have that engine, and it is not touching base with what we call grassroots, development will not take place in this country. In Ghana, we have specifically, we have 261 MDAs. As we speak now, when we talk of MDAs, we are looking at metropolitan, municipal, district assemblies, 261. The rationale behind it is that it brings government closer to you. It also focuses on local development and infrastructure, revenue collection, and use of that revenue collection locally. In other words, what we call the internally generated funds. It is there. Planning and regulation. Unfortunately, that is an aspect that it looks like our MDAs are not doing so well in. And we'll be looking at it also. Social services and welfare like the health, education, vulnerable groups, LEAP programs, support for PWDs, women, youth, those are all part of the social services and welfare that our MDAs are supposed to engage in. Then we look at the participation and democracy, where every 4 years we are given the opportunity to go and vote for our assembly members, unit committee members. There's a rationale behind that. But unfortunately, as far as I'm concerned, it looks like that rationale is not being met so well. And that has to do with our ability to assess these individuals that we vote for, our ability to have interactions with them, complaints, making sure that what they need to do, they are doing it. I don't remember the last time I had a town hall meeting with my assembly members. Neither do I remember the last time I even had a town hall meeting with my MC or DC. I'm sure the story is not different from your case. And that is why it is important for us to look at local government in development as far as Ghana is concerned. As always, you can get interactive with us using the social media handles on the screen. Share your views and share your comments with us, and at the right time, it will be read. Where we need to respond, it will be responded. Where it is a comment that we need to take some education out of it, we will also do so. Call your friend, call your family members to tune into this program, because this is the only transformative program you can have as far as Ghana's media landscape is concerned. I'll be right back after this break. Stay tuned.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural. For bulk purchase, call 0596 273 546 or 0596 273 547. This advert is FDA approved.
If I cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa na menya bosia, edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre, me busia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamwa kwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hye ahodo bi te se dwadifo abosia, ekokro bosia, susu account. And that's all our savings account. Me bada chain savings account. And the keka ho. Press Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Now one so what to me aka say.
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka owner.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to Accra.
Sure.
Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforodia Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. AutoChecks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
Check, AutoChecks.
Welcome back. You are still with your transformative program, Politics and Beyond. And I'm Emmanuel Wilson Jr., your host. This evening, we are going to interrogate decentralization in Ghana's development. And the focus is on Ghana's development. How decentralization is having an effect as far as your development is concerned, as far as mine is concerned. And remember, before we went on break, I told you that development should now be redefined. It shouldn't be Ghana's development. It should be MDA's development. It should be municipal development, metropolitan development, assemblies development, district development. Those are the things that we should be looking at, because anytime the development takes place there, automatically we are saying that Ghana is developing, and that is very important. We have a no stranger to help us have this conversation in the form of our guest. He's the Executive Secretary of the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization, and he's just the perfect person for us to have. In fact, he's an authority. Remember the last time we had an encounter with him here, we really did learn a lot of things. And I'm making reference to Dr. Gameli Hodofia. Doc, welcome to Politics and Beyond.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
I was with you most of the time today in a dialogue that you had. Let me say that it was an interesting dialogue, and I want to congratulate you and your team. Tell us briefly what that dialogue was about and what it's intended to achieve.
Thank you very much. Today is the 10th of August. Good evening to our viewers. Today, the 10th of August, has been set aside by the African Union as the AU Day on Decentralization and Local Development. Now, the AU recognizing the importance of decentralization and the principle of subsidiarity and the whole concept of power to the people, or power in the hands of the people, and the people having the opportunity to transform, to be involved in the transformation, the development of the localities in which they live, decided to set aside the 10th of August as the day that the AU Charter on decentralization and the values of local development. And so we in Ghana decided that on the 10th of August every year, we would hold what we call the National Dialogue on Decentralization and Responsive Governance. The idea is to create a platform where stakeholders, both at the local and the national level, would have the opportunity to take stock of where we are in our decentralization journey, where we have been at, where we are currently, and where we are going to. And so last year, 2025, we had the first dialogue. And out of that dialogue, we were able to take strong views and deliverables to shape what we call the National Decentralization Policy and Strategic Framework. And 2 months ago, Cabinet approved the policy for implementation. So we have started implementing the new National Decentralization Policy and Strategic Framework for 2026 to 2030, which came out of that dialogue, if you like. The dialogue was the last arena of consultations that we undertook last year. And so today, essentially, is to give us the opportunity to say, okay, our policy has been approved. Where are we at already with implementation, and where are we going with it for the next 5 years? And you can tell from the broad spectrum of stakeholders who were at the meeting today, even though we are continuing tomorrow, and then the various topics, you know, for discussion. It tells you where we want to be at, the type of mindset that is needed to be able to implement a strategic framework of the nature that we, and then the team that we chose, you know, for today's event is the team for the National Decentralization Policy itself, which is resetting democratic decentralization for accountable public service delivery and accelerated local development.
Can you please go through that again?
Okay, the
team of interest.
Yes, resetting democratic decentralization for accountable public service delivery and accelerated local development. If you look at it, it has three distinct, if you like, sub-teams in there, you know, and that tells you where we want to go to, you know, where we are today and where we aspire to go. And so if you take the team and you take it in tandem with the government position paper that we'll be discussing very soon, you already get a sense of what it is that we're talking about. We're talking about democratic decentralization. It means that we want to give the power right in the hands of the people where they live, right? To be able to, one of the surest ways in which you can ensure accountability and ownership is by allowing people to vote for their own local leaders where they live, so that those leaders are answerable to them directly, right? And they would help them in shaping, you know, the development agenda at that level, so that if you're then not performing, they are the ones at that level that would give you the yellow card or the red card, right? And say, look, get out of the way, allow somebody else to come in to be able to do that. That's just one aspect of democratic decentralization, but also the aspects about strengthening their capacity to be able to collect all source revenues, right, through property rates, business registration, the mass market tools, and what have you. The broad spectrum of, if you like, revenue handles, right? All of that, and the strengthening of the capacity of the people at that level in terms of the technical capacity that's needed to help the people within those jurisdictions to move those localities forward. All of that is encompassed in, you know, the bit about democratic decentralization, which obviously would lead to, you know, accelerated local development, which is what all of us want, really. Remember that we say that we want to build the Ghana that we want together.
That's right.
And resetting, you know, tells us that, yes, we are cognizant of the fact that we have been implementing decentralization reforms over the last 37 years, since 1988, right? And then we say, okay, but we are at this juncture where we have formulated a new policy for the next 5 years. But in doing that, we had to look back.
That's right.
Right, at our history, where we have come from, to be able to then chart the course and identify the strategic priorities to be able to move us forward to where we want to get to. And we have done that. So the dialogue really, as we have instituted it now, offers us that opportunity every year to take stock. And so you could tell from the exhibition that was also part of the dialogue. What we are trying to do is that we want to tie the tangibles. That decentralization, when you get it right, you know, these are some of the tangibles that will come as a result of it. We want that we measure decentralization differently from how we have always done it. So we want to see that for every MMDA or for every region, regional ministers tomorrow, for instance, will be headlining, where each of them will take the opportunity to tell us, one, what the business opportunities are within their localities. What are the growth poles within their regions? They will tell us. In addition, they will showcase for us, right, what they have done so far since 2025.
That's right.
Right, so that we're able to tie the tangibles to the policy aspirations, because there's no point doing policy that does not bring about, you know, tangible change in our lives, that we have to be able to see. And as Her Excellency the Vice President indicated, it's important that we also highlight the jobs that are created as a result of these tangible fiscal infrastructure projects that have taken place or are ongoing. So if you're building a road, how many people in that locality have you been able to, you know, recruit to be part of the process, you know, the value chain of delivering that road? You know, we want to be able to see all of that. And tomorrow we anticipate, as she indicated, that the regional ministers will be telling us for each of the projects that they are going to be highlighting, what are the job creation matrices that are in there. And in fact, the policy would form part of the performance measures for MMDCs, MMDCDs, as well as even at the center, right? We are mainstreaming our policy aspirations for decentralization in the chief director's performance contracts, so that we're able to, you know, on an annual basis review, you know, you personally as a chief director leading this institution, you know, or as an MC or as a district coordinating director, how have you delivered on these aspirations that are captured in this policy? So that's where really we are going. And so we are tying the evidence to the policy aspirations for the people of Ghana to see that in over a year and a half, what government has been able to do in their localities for them.
Doc, that I that's an interesting background. And I intentionally asked for the background because we are going to build on it. One thing that was key in your presentation has to do with power to the people, giving power in the hands of the people. So you bring governance from the central to the local, very, very local. Let everyone have access to it. One of the things that you need to do when you are talking about giving power to or into the hands of the people is for them to be able to decide who should be their leader. Quickly, if you look at the white paper that came last week.
It's the position paper.
The position paper, actually.
Yes. It's a white paper, it's a white paper when you have like a constitutional review commission, and then it's a position paper when it's a committee.
A committee.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for the education. So this one is a position.
A position paper, yes.
Now, the position paper says that MMDCs should be elected.
Yes.
This is something that we've all talked about. In fact, the very first committee or commissions, was it a committee or a commission? Commission's report came up and gave the same proposal.
Yes.
Just that they said it shouldn't be on a partisan line.
Yes.
Just like this one, it shouldn't be on a partisan line. The government agrees to it.
Yes.
Now, the challenge here is that the government says that in agreeing to it, this is how it's going to go. And for purposes of clarity, let me read it. The president would nominate 5 persons, 2 of whom shall be women. Out of the 5 persons, 3 would be shortlisted, 1 of whom shall be a woman. A vetting committee comprising representatives from the Ministry of Local Government,
public services,
and all of that. They will go through this. The summary of it is that the 3 that will be shortlisted will be presented, and the people will end up voting.
Yes.
The challenge that a lot of my viewers have on this is that, isn't it a quasi-partisan election that we are accepting here? Because if it is the president who is going to nominate 5, in my wildest imagination, I can't appreciate the fact that a president of any given day will nominate persons outside his political party's scheme. And so that will even limit the whole process. So if we indeed want to go, then many are requesting that instead of this proposal, then we should make it a partisan one so that other parties will be at liberty to present their persons.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much. It's not necessarily the case. If you take President John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, in his second, as in Mahama 2.0, you would see that he's not overly partisan in even the appointments that has been made. Even the committee that, was set up, the Constitutional Review Committee, for instance, if you look at it, it was purely independent people, right? Even people from the opposition have made it into that committee. So it's not necessarily true to say that the president would take people from his party. Now, that said, remember that if you look at the report of the Constitutional Review Commission and government's white paper,
yes,
that government was the government of Professor Mills.
Exactly.
This was what government indicated, that it preferred a situation where, Professor Kwame Nkrumah calls something incremental gradualism.
Okay.
Now let us start from somewhere and build on it.
On it, yeah.
Right? That, yes, it's true that we want to elect, we want to give the people, the opportunity to elect their own MMDCs. This actually still allows that to happen. Now, however, what this, the position that's captured here does is that it allows us within the context of a unitary state, right? Because Ghana is a unitary state, we're not federal.
Sure.
It allows that a situation where we don't sever the umbilical cord between the center and the local level. right? So that the president is still able to, based on the vetting processes and based on the opportunity that's afforded him to be able to nominate these 5 people. That's not to say that now those 5 people are answerable to him, no. I mean, whether in the Local Governance Act we're going to make consequential amendments that will take away the president's opportunity of appointing MMDCs and even calling the shots. But what happens is that you're giving away significant resources from the center to the local level. And so you want to be able to have a certain overview, right, of what pertains. And that is where I believe the introduction, okay, of the opportunity for the president to still have a certain say by way of the nominations. But remember that if you nominate 5 people, right, 2 of whom must be women.
Yes.
It doesn't indicate that they have to be from the background of the NDC, right? And you would see up and down the country when the processes start. That is, they say that the sweetness of the pudding is in the eating. You would come to see that it's not partisan. Maybe if some other president comes someday and decides to do it that way, but as for this government and this president, that's not what he anticipates to do. But I definitely acknowledge, right, the concerns that your viewers have raised with this. But purely from a very academic point of view, it is that let us look at the bigger picture. And what's that bigger picture? That from a certain date forward now, we are going to elect our own MMDCs, and that MMDC will no longer, right, be reporting to the president of the land, but he will be reporting directly to the people where they live, right? So that the process of the nomination, really, if you look at it technically, is moot, doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, if whoever that you are, right, it is not the president who will save you. If the people say you are off, you're off.
I get you.
You understand?
Let me come in here. I appreciate the explanation.
Yes.
But let us also bear in mind that this is a constitution. It goes beyond any precedent. And it goes beyond any individual. The fears being entertained by my viewers has nothing to do with John Mahama. It has everything to do with the continuity.
Yes, in the future.
In the future. Because this is a constitution. It goes beyond John Mahama. John Mahama has just about 2 or so years to leave office. It goes beyond John Mahama. And so the point is this, and we appreciate what you're saying. But don't you agree that if, yes, one president will not do it,
another might do it.
Another might do it. And acknowledging the fact that it has taken us a very long time for us to get to this stage. If we go through this successfully, we are not sure of when we may have the opportunity to review the Constitution again.
Don't say that. So this Constitution now is about 35 years.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Or 34 years thereabouts. Right? And today we have had, or today the opportunity is being given to us by way of a review of what has worked well, what hasn't, and what are the areas in which we can tighten, right? And so we should never really rule out that opportunity. But I get the point, and that's why I say that I acknowledge, you know, and even the president acknowledges this, that yes, preferably the people of Ghana would have wanted a situation where, you know, it's a straight shootout, right? Any average Joe would go. But we want to be able to, if you look at the local governments, it's very serious business that takes place there. And so you want a certain caliber of people who would spearhead development, especially when you say that you are opening it up for the people to lead the or to vote for whoever it is that will lead them. We don't want a situation where, I keep giving this example that Professor Kwame Ahoy gives us, that in 1992, when we transitioned and started the local level elections, right, for assembly members, something interesting happened in Second.
Okay.
Actually, I think before it was in, 1988, 89. Now, in Second, a prominent lawyer lost the elections to become a member of the assembly, right, to an area boy who sits under a tree and plays dummy, right? Now, that is not to say that that person is not capable.
Sure.
However, you want to assure that because elections by their nature come up with very, very interesting results, if you allow, because it becomes almost like a popularity contest, right? You can have a situation where that person that you're putting forward, right, or the person at the local area, if that person is not thoroughly vetted, right, and we have a mishap where the secondary situation happens in any place, then we are going to have a big challenge on our hands in terms of, remember that we are reforming, and these reforms that we are bringing on board, we are bringing health and education, the road sector, all of these sectors that we are devolving to the local level. You need very strong, competent leaders at that level also to be able to drive the conversation. And so you need very formidable people. And that is why the vetting process, will come in. Because, Ghanaians have been talking about the caliber of DCs who are leading the local areas. And so if we're going towards the election of MMDCs, then by all means, let us assure through a very independent and competent process that the people that we're going to put forward to the people are really people worthy of that office. And so you have to look at it from that.
I think that's a brilliant position you've espoused there. Only to say that vetting, we agree to it. But when the vetting achieve the same purpose or even better, if there's no nomination coming from the president, but it is opened, everyone who think he or she is qualified submits his or her name and CV, what have you, and then vetting takes place.
There will be an administrative chaka block, an administrative roadblock. Imagine, look, you know that when every time that there's a transition, right, and nominations are open for people to express interest in becoming district chief executives. If you know the numbers of people that
I think that in one district in the northern region, it was about 19 or so.
Oh, so that's even little. That's like even whittled down, right? So we'll have a situation where over 200 people, right? People in the thousands would put themselves up to be vetted, and it will create an administrative roadblock. And so it's quite important that we introduce this parameter where we're able to sift through. And then also remember, we have the affirmative action law. And that also, the president is very keen to ensure that we have our sisters, our mothers, being part of the conversation about how we develop our localities. They say that if you want to do something with your money, give it to your mother or give it to your sister, so that they would always add value to it. And so if you want to develop your local areas, by all means, put it in the hands of our sisters and our mothers, right, and our girl child, and let us see the transformation that will come out of it. Now, if you open it up as people are advocating, you can imagine the women will be swallowed up in that whole process, and it will be a continuation of business as usual. We don't want that. And so this process will allow, at least there's surety that of the 5 people, 2 of them straight away will be women. The final 3, all 3 can, depending on how well they do, right, can be women, right? But at least there's the assurance that at least one of those 3 would be a woman that would go on the ballot paper to be voted for. So
this is really an interesting conversation, but I'm sure
yes.
we'll continue having this conversation because there are those who still believe that there can be the issue of presidents nominating.
They don't want it at all.
Diffuses the whole process, but we'll look at it.
But as I said, incremental gradualism.
Right.
So let us give this opportunity. Let us give this process a trial. In another 10 years, we can review.
Doug, let's look at development because in all this conversation, indeed, this afternoon when I was listening and I was partaking in the dialogue, what was running through my mind was that, look, enough of the talking. We need development. That is all Ghanaians are interested in. Roads and drainage. Feeder roads, gutters, street lights. It is the work of the local governments. The MMDCs are supposed to be in charge of that, especially with street lights.
Yes.
It is not, it is nothing to write home about. Absolutely. Drainage, it is also not, we only talk about it when the floods come and then we go to sleep, and that is all about it. Feeder roads, it is not the best. Markets, most of our markets are, in a mess, big mess. Community projects like sports facilities, community centers, most of our municipals, you can't have them. You just can't see them anywhere. Water, sanitation, just name all the things that we are expecting as far as development is concerned. What exactly is the challenge?
Thank you very much. What exactly is the challenge? Now, I would say that there is a mindset issue.
Okay.
A mindset issue.
On the part of those who are leading the municipal or on the part of the citizen?
On both.
Everyone.
Both. Right? Both on the part of the people who are leading the municipalities as well as the people themselves.
Okay.
Now, that is why the policy that Cabinet approved, that we have started implementing, it has 6 thematic areas.
Right.
The usual ones: political decentralization, administrative fiscal decentralization, decentralized planning, local economic development, popular participation.
Okay.
But critically this time, we also identified 6 other thematic areas that we call the cross-cutting themes.
Okay.
That has issues of the environment, biodiversity. We have issues of security, the 24-hour economy. We have in there also a critical one that we call ethics, mindset change, and change management in general. Mindset change. Because we identified that how people receive policy, how people implement policy, right, is as a result of their attitude, aspirations, their mindsets, right, influences how they go about implementing any policy at any level.
Right.
How they go about the lawmaking, right?
Yeah.
And the enforcement process and what have you, all of it, mindset. Now, I would say, from my own experience, is that a lot of Ghanaians want to be led.
Right.
They don't want to lead, right? Why do I say so? You have a situation where we have the Local Governance Act, Act 936. Okay, a beautiful law. Yes, there are challenges here and there that we are trying to strengthen. But the law is a beautiful law that takes into cognizance various aspects of our lives at the local level in terms of the legal architecture. Now, that law empowers the local governments as body corporates like MTN or like the banks, right? Or if I set up my own business that I'm in charge of running it effectively as a body corporate, the law establishes the local governments as body corporates. And it gives them, or it empowers them with the provisions to be able to lead the transformation of those localities. without waiting for central government.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So raising your own resources at that level, right? What are the innovations that you can bring to bear to ensure that you are collecting more revenue? Because remember that it's not just about collecting the revenues, but also what you do with those revenues when you collect them. It's very important. And so the innovations that are needed, the flexibility is there in the law. So you've been given the empowerment, right? The president says, do A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
You can do all of it.
Yeah.
The law says that the local governments are the foremost planning authority, right? So if the local governments were working how we anticipate them to work, you know, the issue of galamsey shouldn't even be something that, you know, we are blaming central government about, right? Environmental degradation, the pollution of our water bodies, right? All of that should not be something that we blame a president for. When we have local presidents, you understand? And that law that I'm talking about, Act 936 or 940 as amended because of the rule amendment that was done in 2017, right? That law empowers our local people to be able to lead that transformation. But they're not doing it, right? They're not doing it. Now, they say that you can lead a horse to the river, you know, but you can't force it to drink. And this is where it's important. You see, I'll go back to that vetting, the nomination, and then the rigorous vetting process that will come as part of, right? Because to lead transformation, you yourself, you have to learn and you have to be willing to lead that transformation. You're talking about the municipal services. The municipal services, water, electricity, sanitation. You're talking about drainage and what have you. Street lights. Okay. Look, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science to be able to provide street lights. It's not rocket science to be able to provide drainage so that floods don't come and mess us up. It's not rocket science to be able to ensure that you zone the localities effectively or properly, right? So that you determine what goes here, what goes there. Here, we're going to businesses. You know, when we go to zone B, we're talking about purely residential. Even the type of residential, you know, these ones will be story buildings, you know, surfacing. This is the type of materials that are needed. All of that, the law allows the local governments to be able to be in charge of it. Okay, so it's quite important that from where I sit, there's one, we have to educate the Ghanaian citizen, which we're doing through this process today. It's one of the ways in which we are educating. There are other ways. We have to hold them accountable. We have to put the fire to them. So I call on every Ghanaian. Remember my call when I delivered my presentation? Right? In my speech, I called on every Ghanaian, right? From Anlo or from Aflao all the way to Zwarongo, right? That all of us must be interested in what happens where we live, right? Let us join the conversation about identifying the priorities, but let us also put, even though it is the president that has nominated and the assembly members have endorsed, right? The current district chief executives, right? And the coordinating directors and the civil servants or public servants that are in those districts, right? We have to be able to join hands with them, work glove in hand with them to transform. Now, the law, to be specific, creates departments. Okay, so there's a department of urban roads that is in the municipalities and the metros. And then there's a feeder roads, you know, unit found in the works department in the districts. So you see the difference. So in the metros and the municipalities, we have an urban roads engineer leading that department. And then the units at the district is also led by an engineer for feeder roads, right? Now, the resources that come down from the center to the local level, they're meant to use those resources to be able to drive this process. And yet we are not getting that. So Ghanaians must hold them accountable. You must go to your assembly. Some people don't even know the name of the assembly where they live.
Sure.
They don't know the assembly, the town hall. They don't know it, right? They need to be able to know it, so that, and the assemblies themselves need to create the opportunities for the people to be able to interact, either through television.
Yeah.
I mean, when I worked in the UK, in local government, by that time we didn't have the digital television.
Okay.
Right? Even for the analog television, we were using analog television to communicate, to give opportunity to our residents,
sure.
right?
Sure.
To be able to shape development processes within their localities. Once you turn on the TV, analog, something, a pop-up will come. The local government is doing A, B, C, D. What are your thoughts on it? Right?
Interesting.
How much more today when we're talking about digital television,
even,
right? So the departments exist within the local government areas to be able to lead the processes of providing the municipal services that we are talking about, right? So it's not rocket science. They are supposed to lead that process. And so as part of that is why, we decided that we have to tie the evidence to the policy making process. So that it's not enough. We're doing a lot of talking. We have done a lot of talking. And we have even done beautiful policies and beautiful laws. Now we want implementation. We want enforcement.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying that the people of Ghana must be interested. That where you live, you must be interested. You shouldn't have a situation where someone comes, there's a wetland in your locality. Then you see that someone starts to come and pour laterite and hard rocks, filling the place. Right? And you're watching and you're not saying anything. You're not reporting to the assembly, because there's a department at the assembly that should be able to, stop the people from doing that. But you need to call them because Accra, the various localities are big, right? So the citizens, we have a responsibility as well. And also we have a responsibility to seek to do the right things. That's the other matter, right? You know that this is a wetland.
Yeah.
Even if a chief offers it to you, right? Would you buy it?
Yeah.
I will not buy a wetland. I will never put my money in a wetland, knowing what the wetland is meant to do. Right? And so all of these, that's why I say that there's a responsibility for the people, there's a responsibility for central government, but there's also a responsibility for the civil servants and the public servants that are posted to these municipalities, right, to be able to drive that transformation alongside the people.
Look, this is getting interesting.
Yeah.
Let's dwell a bit more on this development part. The roads. I know that we have in each of the municipal assemblies, we have what we call, is it DRIP?
Yes.
The machines that are supposed to help us with the feeder roads. Meanwhile, you go to the roads and it is very, very terrible.
Yes.
Can you speak to
the
it?
machines are,
and the machines are sitting there. Can you speak to it?
So where I live in Lankwantana, Medina.
Okay.
So recently we have our local association, residents association, and the people have been talking. They've been talking, complaining a lot. This is not happening, that is not happening, the roads. And then in our locality, we, over the last 8-10 years, we do the contributions ourselves, right? We find a machine, we bring it in, we fuel it, and they do our roads for us. When they go bad, we do the contributions. And I'm sure that this pertains in a lot of other places. But, from my background and my experiences, so every time I reach out to the local authority people, and so about 2-3 weeks ago, I reached out to the Honorable MC for Lankwantana Medina.
Okay.
And so him and his team, they came to the locality and then sat down with residents. Now guess what? The residents that were complaining, now come, let's face the people, very few of them came out. You understand?
I get you.
So we are complaining.
Yeah.
Right? We are complaining. We are happy to sit in the comfort of our homes.
Yeah.
Right? And then type, right? Oh, this is not happening. That's not happening. Now the people have come. Come, let's have a conversation, right? Come and tell us what your concerns are in this your area. Let us try and see how we can fix them. So that's one aspect of it. Now you're talking about DRIP.
Yes.
Okay, but I even want to address it from the various layers that we have. So a long time ago, a certain study was commissioned where the Ministry of Roads and Highways, we want to be able to categorize the type of roads that we have in our country in line with the devolution agenda. So a report was produced clarifying that these ones are highways, you know, so the motorway, the intercity, those ones are under the responsibility of the highways.
Sure.
Then there are the inter, you know, as in, so if you take a metro area, right, and the municipalities that exist, the roads within, so if we take where XYZ is located, right, the roads here, those are under the districts. And then in the districts, so these ones are under the metros and the municipalities. That's why we have the urban roads, right? And then we have the feeder roads that will deal with, as the word goes, the feeder roads.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
The less engineered ones, right? And so the drip machines, for instance, the idea was that localities, they will raise their own source revenues, and then they would use that to power these machines before, you know, the central government comes in with the resources needed to be able to engineer the roads, okay, as in asphalt roads or bitumen roads or whatever, right? That is the idea. But you will find that you go to districts and then they say there's no fuel.
Yeah.
You understand? They say there's no fuel. So His Excellency says, okay, I want that a minimum of 80% of the district assembly's common fund goes to you directly, so that we don't have this situation where previously, right, less than 50% of the DACF went down to the local governments. Today, a year and a half, you know, in 2025, almost 7 billion, if we add the DACF IFG aspect onto the 6 billion, because the DACF IFG, that's another pot of money, you know, part of it is the responsiveness factor grant, okay, from the common fund. And then we have development partners, Switzerland and Germany, contributing counterpart funding for us. So that is also another almost $1 billion, right? So if we add it to the 6 billion that went, you know, we're looking about roughly about 7 billion of resources that went down to the local governments. So never before have our local governments received so much money. And so there should be no excuse by any MMDC or coordinating director that there's no money to power those drip machines. Besides, look, you can also...
Can you repeat that again?
Yes.
I want my viewers to hear
I'm saying that there is no excuse for any MMDC or coordinating director to say that there's no money to power our drip machines to be able to do the roads, right? Or fix the little issues that the drip machines are there to. It's like first aid. Before you take the person to hospital.
Exactly.
It's the same principle here, right? The drip machines are there and every district has one.
So if a citizen goes and he or she is turned down on the ground that there's no money, what should the citizen do?
They should report. I mean, they should reach out to the IMCC. They should reach out to the Minister for Local Government.
Right.
They should reach out to their regional minister. Right. In fact, they should reach out to the district chief executive first. Right. Because when they go, usually they won't go to the DC. They will go to the coordinating directors. Right. And so if they tell them that there's no money, they should first of all go to the DC. If they don't get joy, the regional minister, then the local government minister, they can also come to the IMCC. Right. Because what it is that we want the local governments to be innovative. Okay, there are companies that are in various areas in these localities, right? Even local people themselves, if you go and sit down and have a conversation with them, right, that, okay, we got some money, but that money, together with you, we said that A, B, C, D were our priorities. And so we are putting that money towards those priority projects, right? So because of it, there isn't enough money for us to buy fuel to power these drip machines. So together, okay, we would look for some, you also bring some, and then we buy fuel. I'm sure that the citizens will be more than happy to do it, because they are not now going to go and rent these machines. The assembly has the machines. So their contribution in kind would be, okay, bring something. If someone runs a fuel station, you can go to them.
That's right.
You understand? You can go to them and say, look, as part of your corporate social responsibility, right, or as a local business owner in this locality, we think that you should contribute something so that we are able to fix some of these things, some of the roads, the drainage system, we can dredge them, you know, so that we keep our environment clean, we keep our roads at least motorable until we have enough resources to be able to engineer them effectively. This is stuff that they should be doing.
Doc, who checks the performance of the MMDCs? Because I'm asking this because you see, most of these MMDCs, it looks like they are really disappointing us as far as development in the local level is concerned. If you visit, and my producer just alerted me, places like Amasaman, Pokwase, the roads are terrible. Let me use my own side. And I'm sure if we had opportunity to let one or two persons call in, they would have also lamented and said the same thing. If you come to my area, and I live just at Race Course, that's Qatar Hostel down.
Okay, yes. Of the N1?
N1, the La Paz, N1, Yamiche Road. My area, when you get there.
What municipality is that?
Okaikwe. That's what Okaikwe North, that is Teresa's place.
Okay.
That's Okaikwe North.
That's the constituency.
Yes, the constituency.
Okay.
I'm sure we can tease the
district
out,
yes.
From it, but it's Okaikwe North constituency. Now, about 90% of the road has been taken over by mechanics.
Okay.
And it's so dangerous and terrible to the extent that personally, I nearly crashed my car because I didn't see the other car that was coming, because, as I said, about 90% of the road has been taken over by mechanics. We've gone to the community, we've gone to the municipal chief executive countless times. There's no response coming. And you see, just like you said, it is so with so many municipals and other areas. Who, and I'm asking because of this, that who really goes down to check and make sure that these MCs, DCs are really working? Because if they have a supervisor whom they know that will be coming every now and then, if it is Amasaman, they'll make sure the road is fixed. If it is Qatar down, where I am, they'll make sure that the road is cleared and mechanics are not working on the road. If it is fishing, Ladadi Kotopon, they'll make sure that the street lights are working, because from T Junction all the way to Nungwa,
the lights are not working.
You won't get a single street light, not a single one. And what is worrying is that is even the stretch in front of our security zone, the military barracks. Not a single one. Yet we have MCs there. So who checks these people?
So there are various layers, you know. The first port of call is the regional ministers.
Okay.
You know, they have a certain oversight of, you know, the MMDCs in their localities, right? But there's also the Minister for Local Government. And recently, I'm sure you saw that the Minister for Local Government went around with television crews to the various localities, visiting districts and putting them, you know, on their toes.
But that thing never works.
Yes. So
it's just for the cameras. It's the antic of it. So I really get disappointed when I see that happening.
I understand. But this is the point. We are trying to exert accountability.
Sure.
Now, that is done at various levels and has different stakeholders involved in doing that. So, as I said, the regional ministers, number one, they're meant to ensure. Now, this case that you have highlighted in Okaikwe North.
Exactly.
Okay, the roads is not a place for mechanics. It's not a place for selling. Remember, initially I talked about the fact that because of the failure of the planning process and the enforcement processes, right, we have these things happening. So that if we had a designated area for mechanics, that if you live in that locality and you want the services of a mechanic, there will be Ward A, you know, an industrial place that has been set up where there are units that these people can rent and pay, you know, rents to the local governments. That's a way for the local governments to make money. Right? But also creating the enabling environment for these businesses to thrive. You understand?
Sure.
So you get when I say that there's the need for that innovation. By now, when I interact with the people at the local level, I find that they are waiting for some instruction from the center. And I say that, look, the law empowers you. Don't wait. Where you are unclear, right? Because they say that the person who asks questions never gets it wrong. Because, so where you are unsure, right? Write to the regional minister, write to the minister for local government, write to the IMCC, write to the chief of staff, where you are unsure, right? But beside that, you have the law behind you to bring about any innovation that brings development, that brings discipline, as in discipline development to your locality. And so there should be no way that MC, right, you have been to him and he hasn't come to clear the people. You know why he's hesitant? He's hesitant because he has not put in place the right mechanisms, the structure, that a place where these people could go and be doing their business. You understand? So because of it, you allow, because of failure in one area, you allow the domino effect. And so then you allow mechanics to be on the road, endangering their lives, right? Endangering, you know, the motoring public, right? And that is not acceptable. You understand? So from even that person themselves, sitting down and every day, I'm sure they drive past that area.
Yeah, they do. I'm sure,
You understand? Now, there's also the development planning people, right? A whole department. There's a fiscal planning department. There's the works department. They have engineers who are in charge of enforcement. So what are they also doing? What advice are they giving to their municipal and district chief executive? Right? What are they doing? So you remember when I say that the problem or the challenges, I like to see it as areas of improvement, right? That we see all of us have a certain role to play. The citizen has a role to play. The technocrat has a role to play, and the politician has a role to play. Because if we must transform this nation, all of us must do it together.
I agree.
You understand?
I agree.
Yes.
I'll come back. I want us to look at capacity. You mentioned it. Leadership. And one other excuse, which you also talked about, has to do with funding. I would like us to look at it, but let me take one or two messages that has come from our viewers. And if you want to take water, you've been doing a lot of talking. This one says, good evening, Mr. Watson, and good evening, Dr. Gameli. Although Ghana's decentralization system is intended to promote local participation and enable metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies to plan and implement development programs according to the needs of their respective localities, there are still challenges that affect the effective functioning of the system. One major concern is the influence of political considerations in the administration and implementation of development programs at the local level. MMDAs have approved medium-term development plans, annual action plans, and composite budgets, which are intended to guide development activities and the allocation of resources within the assemblies. However, in some instances, the implementation of these plans and budgets may be influenced by political priorities rather than strictly following the approved development framework. The political leadership of the assembly, particularly the metropolitan, municipal, or district chief executive, plays an important role in determining the direction of development activities. While political leadership is necessary for local development, there's a need to ensure that political decisions are properly aligned with the Assembly's approved development plans, priorities, and budget allocations. When programs and projects are introduced without adequate consideration of the approved plans and budgets, it can affect the Assembly's ability to achieve its intended development objectives. It may also create difficulties for technical officers who are responsible for implementing and monitoring the Assembly's programs. Therefore, there's a need to strengthen the relationship between political leadership and the technical administration of MMDAs. Political leaders should provide the necessary leadership while ensuring that development decisions are guided by the approved plans, budgets, community needs, and relevant government policies. In conclusion, decentralization can only achieve its intended purpose when MMDAs are given the opportunity to implement their approved development plans effectively, with political leadership working together with the professional and technical staff of the Assembly. This will promote continuity, accountability, transparency, and sustainable development at the local level. Thank you. This is coming from Gordon. Quite lengthy, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. I think the president electing 5 people, etc., I am not for it. It still comes up to the same partisan way. President Mahama will not be in power for long. What about if another president comes and decides to select 5 members of his party people? And this is coming from Reverend Justice Aposa from Ho. Mr. Wilson, decentralization is the way to go. This is it. God bless. This is God bless. Okay, God bless from Elembele district. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. I always support the fact that there should be an election in the selection of MMDCs. And this is coming from teacher Abu Sefibuako. Let me take one more. Mr. Wilson, they should do more. The Spinters Road, the road, main coastal roads, is still dusty. After the cleanup exercise, they should ensure that habit continues. Okay, they should ensure that the cleanup habit continues. Yeah. And this is Joanne from Spinters. If there's time, I will come back to the messages. But, Doc, these are some of the messages that has come. Godwin gave a very lengthy one. There are others who still support, as I told you earlier, that we need to elect MMDCs, but we don't need the interference of the president. I think it's a conversation that will be going on. Doc, leadership, funding, capacity. You go to some of the the offices, district offices. Truth be told, I have always said that this local government is a system that, if it is effective, you don't need to be a minister. You don't need to be an MP. In fact, if local government system is working so well, the most powerful ones will rather be the DCs and the MCs.
Yes.
And I've always said this.
I agree 100%. And that's my view as well.
Right.
Look, I think the job that people should be aspiring to occupy in the political landscape is the job of a district chief executive.
I agree.
Right?
I agree 100%.
Because you are in charge of bringing about transformation in that place.
Tangible one.
Yes.
Significant. You are like the rep of the president down there.
That's why I say you are the president there.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And that is an opportunity in law. And so you have highlighted some of the challenges, but remember that elections bring about responsiveness.
Exactly.
And so the idea is that regardless of the weaknesses that or the challenges that some of your people have,
yes,
you know, if we're going with the incremental gradualism as I've advocated,
sure,
that let's start this process and you would see the transformation that will come
with it.
That MC that you've mobilized to go and see, and he hasn't done anything about the congestion.
Yes.
Right? Or people encroaching the road. If that person was elected, I'm telling you, he will act on it in no time.
In no time.
Because he knows that if he doesn't find a long-term solution to that thing, his job is on the line.
So so on the issue of capacity.
Yes.
A lot of the offices, honestly, do not have the human capacity.
Okay.
What is worse is this excuse of no funding. Because you see, I keep saying that you're at liberty to generate. And when you have your internally generated funds, you decide where to use it and what to use it for. And when we talk of internally generated funds, we are talking about the market tools,
property
rates,
business operation
permits,
building permits, road, what's it called, car parks and what have you.
All of
that. All of that.
So I don't see any municipal or districts telling me that they are lacking funds. It is just probably lack of leadership, innovation, as you mentioned. Leaders who are innovative. We are lacking that. How do we deal with this issue? Even before this election of MMDC comes into play.
So there's a point to be made about strengthening capacity.
Yeah.
Last week, I was having a conversation with my brother, Professor Lord Mensah, who is head of the local government service. And we agreed that in some of the critical areas, they have to beef up, they have to strengthen. So, especially the technical areas, the engineers, architects, planners, electrical engineers, the various type of engineering, quantity surveyors, and what have you. They have a certain shortage of that category of expertise. And I know that he's working very hard, and this is something that's going to go to the IMCC. We are preparing a paper to take to the IMCC, and it will get to the president, where we would have to, there's some opportunity for them to be able to recruit about 7,000 of critical mass of experts to fill certain gaps that currently exist within the system. So that conversation is ongoing and something will be done about it, right? Of course, we need the Minister for Finance to give them the clearance to be able to recruit the needed, human resources, in especially these critical areas, to be able to support the transformation agenda. I always say that we have 261 local economies, right? And so if the Minister for Finance is not mindful, right, to take into cognizance the fact that, yes, the localities need to work, that the 24-hour economy policy, for instance, needs to work, that these localities need the technical expertise to be able to drive development, to bring about the innovations that are needed to support their political leaders, right, to bring about transformation in those localities, which obviously then will bring about a certain build-up effect to what we call the national economy. Then we would be failing. And so that is a conversation that is taking place, and something will be done about these critical areas that people need to be recruited into. Now, there's also the bit about the now. What can we do? So they've identified certain areas where the departments are understaffed to be able to train people who who already have a certain type of expertise or have done courses that relate to those areas, so that they will offer them the opportunity. And I think they've written letters out to the over 36,000 staff, right? Encouraging them to choose, okay, would you want to go into the transport department, right? For instance, would you want to go into the housing department, right? Based on your qualifications. Because remember that people go into some of the areas because there was a certain clearance that was given to recruit people in a certain area.
Exactly.
But that is not per se what they did in university. But because they needed a job, they went in there. So there's that opportunity to be able to train and then move people into the right kinds of services. So there's also that. And then there's the generic training, and then the tailored training. The local government service is currently doing that for their people. That's to enhance the capacities of the people that are in now. And then before they do the recruitments to come. So that type of capacity enhancement will come. So we believe that in the next year, we will see some significant improvement in the quality or of the caliber of people that are at that level, the technical people that are at the local government's level. So there's that. Now, the bit about leadership.
Sure.
When the MMDCs were appointed, you know, a certain type of orientation was done for them. And then also zonal capacity building has been done for them as well, right? To be able to open their minds to, you know, what are the possibilities. But I believe that it has to be an ongoing thing, so that every now and then, maybe twice a year, you take them somewhere for 2 or 3 days where they are removed from the day-to-day of the telephone calls or fixing issues, where you can take them away and just give them some type of serious tutoring, so that they go back, they are refreshed, they are relaxed, but also capacitated with new knowledge to be able to, and this we have factored into the policy in terms of strengthening the capacities of the functionaries at the local government level and the political leadership as well. So I believe that gradually you will begin to see a lot of changes and improvements that will come into that space. That's what I would say.
Doc, before we are wrapping up,
so
I'll come back to you to give your very last comment, but just as a form of information, I've received these 2 messages, just for the purposes of educating us. So the first one said the municipal I was referring to is still Okankwe North Municipal Assembly.
Okay, great.
And the MCE is Christian Tete Baja.
Okay.
Baja.
Yes.
I hope I got the name well. So Okankwe North Municipal Assembly, Christian Tete Baja. For the sake of those living in that enclave, Doc, I will wish that some of you pay a visit.
Even without paying a visit, I will get the number for the MCE, and then we'll engage him to understand what the challenge is and what support we can offer him to be able to fix. I think at some point we talked about, when we talk about the capacity, leadership, and resources. You know, I always give this example. Now, if you take any of the highways, right, if you're driving from Accra to Paga, you will go through several municipalities. You get to certain points and you see these trucks parked on the side of the road. Right? Those are municipalities or districts. They could just do a car park. Even a wire fencing, and then do a small sanitary place that people can park their cars, pay a certain fee, they can shower, refresh, have some food. A local woman or a business person can establish a chop bar in that facility, right? So business registration, they'll get money there. They'll get money from the parking tickets, right? They'll get money from the people using the shower and other facilities there. The local governments can make money, right? But you would find that invariably, a lot of them are not doing it. we need them to think outside the box. We need them to take advantage of the low-hanging fruits, right? Like what I have just right to be able to raise resources.
Yeah.
You understand?
I get you. Then the other one is, I made mention of Lejokuku.
Yes.
The street lights not working, and it is so terrible. So this one says that the MC, the name is Lejokuku Municipal Assembly, LECMA, and the MC is Israel Ejay Ochema, also known as Kuzo. Doc, something needs to be done. The other day I played a video on the show, and I don't know if my producer will be able to do it for you to see. Where in a place, I think it's just around the cantonment, Nafti or so, someone has built a container right in the
middle of the road.
No, the road, the gutter.
The gutter?
Gutter has pillars
in the gutter.
In the gutter.
And development control.
And you know the funny thing, that video, I know of it very well because I know the area very well. When they were doing it, one day I passed by, I don't know whether it came from LECMA or those who were building it themselves. There was an inscription, "Stop work," by LECMA. The next moment I passed, it was completed, and they were operating in it.
They've done it overnight. So that's what I'm saying. Remember that I said these issues are at various levels. We, the Ghanaian people ourselves.
Right.
Now, you see that certain demolitions are taking place.
Yes.
Right? And you have people who go, please, don't do it. Right? The wrong thing has been done. Someone has put a building on the waterway.
Yes.
They want to break it down for the sake of us. Now, remember that if we do not fix the things that are in our interest, and we allow every one of us, we are selfish. We have, inherently we are selfish.
Yeah.
We want to do things that are to our favor. That person that constructed that thing over the gutter, they're looking at the money that they can raise through that business.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about the impact of doing that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There are also situations where people pour sand or building materials, right? And then they fill up the gutters that are right in front of their homes. Right?
Yeah.
And that is detrimental. So we have to approach. That's it.
Have you seen the gutter?
Yes, that's the gutter.
Producer. Have you seen the gutter?
Yes.
And they've decided to build the pillars.
Yes.
That the container is relaxing on.
Yes.
Right in the middle. And this is cantonment. Those of you know free zones. It's not far from free zones.
This one.
So yes, this one is not far from free zones. Free zones, the road going down to where the president's secretariat, private secretariat is. That is the road. So you get to free zones, you move to, is it Capital Restaurant or so? There's a restaurant there. Right after Capital, right after, you will see this.
And this is LECMA?
It's LECMA. They wrote LECMA on it before they finalized the structure. So this is it. Doc. Yeah.
Break and steal.
Yeah.
So they've written on it.
Exactly.
So this structure, for instance, because they've come to
in Ghana here.
Exactly. It's
capital city.
Yes.
Cantonment.
Yes. It shouldn't be there.
Look at it.
Right. So this is the type of thing that so they've taken note of it and they have to break it down.
But this has been there as far as I can recall. I told you I know this structure very well as far as I can recall. This has been there for the past 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
Just 2 days ago, Friday, I drove past and it was still there.
It was still there. And they are operating.
They are operating. It is still there.
Even though they've written on it.
Yes, they are still operating.
So this is what happens. So the local authority by law, right, requires that when you do the illegal thing, really you are supposed to remove it, right? Failure to do, then they will come in, and when they do it, the cost, then they bill you for it, right? But definitely that is something that, please share that video with me.
I will.
And then we'll send it to the MCE for
so
the
he
area.
needs to take care of this.
Yes.
He also needs to take care of their street lights.
Yes. Yes.
This needs to be done. He's being paid for this.
Absolutely.
He's being paid for this.
No, that's why I say that, look, we need citizens to be bringing to the attention of the local governments these types of things. Right? And thankfully this one, I'm sure somebody has reported, and that's how come that they've gone there to say remove it, right? Or stop work or whatever the inscription is.
Yeah.
So it's come to the notice of the authorities, and I believe that they will fix it. But we need that, we need more of it, right? And we must use platforms such as this.
Sure.
Maybe one of the things we need to do, just go out with the cameras to identify these things.
Very important. And this platform is committed to that.
Exactly.
Because personally, I believe that local government is the backbone when it comes to development in this country.
Absolutely.
So we are ever ready and we are so committed to it, making sure that the right things are done through the local government system. Doc, your very final words.
I'll say that, as I keep highlighting, policies don't implement themselves.
Yeah.
Right? We have to implement those policies, and we have to make sure that we are measuring and we are assessing the implementation of those, and we have systems in place to be able to monitor the implementation of this new policy. But when it comes to the local governments in general, it's important that the aspirations, how we, you and I, where we live, how we want those localities to look like, to be like, to feel like, right? We have to be able to, work glove in hands with our local leaders to be able to transform our locality. And I will continue to call on the Ghanaian people to take a keen interest. And then when it comes up for the elections, they should take a keen interest, and they should go out there, vote massively, right, and be part of the processes. Because now the president is saying that I am giving you that opportunity. Right? I will no longer do it for you, but I'm giving you the opportunity. Take charge of it and transform your localities. So let us do it together.
Doc, thank you so much. Let us do it together. Viewers, all too soon, this is where time will allow us, and I believe you've had an insightful moment, as we have always sought to bring to you. Together, it is a collective thing. Just like Dr. Gameli said, it is a collective thing. We need to work together. And trust you me, this is a platform that gives response and then results. We are going to ensure that this will not just be a conversation that will end, but we'll follow it through, implement. And just like Dr. Gameli said, anytime we have the opportunity to make decisions as far as local governance is concerned, please, whether it is assembly election, whatever it is, unit elections, now we will be having MCs and DCs elections. Whatever it is, let us make sure that we are getting the best out of local governance, because that is the only way for us to go. So we meet again next week. I'm still your host, Emmanuel Wilson Jr. And all I can say for now is good night.